Ladies and gentlemen, Six Fig Stock Trader here on YouTube, folks. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are at in the world. Before we get into CKB, check me out on Twitter at Real6Fig. I drop charts, news, bits of little info when I cannot sit down for a formal video like this. Back to CKB. We are currently trading at 0.014, so almost a penny and a half. Now, it really seems like over the last day, CKB is having an extremely tough time on this 4-hour chart trying to break through this resistance here. Now, let's go ahead and see if we can pull up any Fibonacci extensions or retracements to see if there's any barriers in that area. So there's really nothing showing up on the extension side of things. Let's just flip-flop this. Nothing really showing up there, so let's try this. Nothing showing up there. So, I mean, you could make the argument that we are toying with the 786 retracement level at this point in time. So that would make sense. We have seen great support and resistance at this level, quite frankly, ever since May 20th. So when we had this big crash, we gathered a ton of support at the 786, came back down to test it, could not hold it. We can see price action dipped. And we can also see how we rallied on this 786 here. Could not hold it once again, unfortunately. So now we are trying to play the catch-up game and get back on top of this 786. Currently, we are still kind of seeing this larger possible, and I say possible, ascending triangle that could be forming. If this thing rejects at this 0.015-ish level, don't be mad that you see the price action come down to maybe 0.012-ish, 0.0118, somewhere in there. It'll be a cause for concern if we see it trading lower than that. But at this time, if we do want this ascending triangle to kind of play out, we're going to need to have patience. And so this is an interesting move. We were looking at more of a micro ascending triangle the last video I did, but that seems to be kind of off the table now. So it was something, well, I guess you could argue that it might still be on the table. But nonetheless, we will see if price breaks down here or rallies up and over this 786. And this is all going to be contingent with Bitcoin, folks. So keep that in mind, okay? We cannot really expect price to go up as Bitcoin is going down. So we may be seeing somewhat of a symmetrical triangle pattern form here too if we see price rip higher than 0.015. We may see a rejection around the 0.018-ish level, 0.019-ish level. So these are some scenarios, folks, that you can kind of watch out for. So obviously, I think at this point, if we see price trading any lower than a penny, 0.0116, there might be some cause for concern, and you'll want to check back on the channel in my Twitter feed because I keep a pretty good pulse on the market when it comes to this stuff. Okay? So with that said, those are kind of my little predictions on where CKB is going to go over the next course of probably the next month. I would say for sure the next month into November. Now, none of this is going to, be possible without Bitcoin. There's two things that are happening right now. Either one huge corrective wave to the downside, or we are seeing the beginning of an impulsive wave to the upside. So this is kind of where we are at right now, and the market really could go either direction. So let's take a quick peek at Bitcoin. And I was having a discussion with Crypto TA this morning, a private discussion. And we were kind of talking about the new Bitcoin ETF that is about to open up. Okay, I'm not going to try to put any words into his mouth or anything like that, but, I kind of came to the conclusion that there might be a possibility that Wall Street might already be embedded within Bitcoin. So when this ETF launches, they can write their puts, sell calls, sell their Bitcoin, and drive the market downwards. It makes sense, but they would be risking the potential for a huge short squeeze, kind of like what we saw happen to GameStop. So it's kind of interesting to try to figure out if they're going to play that game again. If not, it'll be interesting to see what's going on. So the purpose of this TA in Bitcoin here is not to scare you, okay? I'm drawing legitimate trend lines on charts that are forming legitimate patterns. And when I see this kind of stuff, I'm definitely going to talk about it. 100%. And so, with that said, there was some speculation yesterday on this pump here, at least the pump from yesterday that Tether had bought, billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. And so that's why we saw it pump yesterday. But at this point in time, I'm going to talk very short-term and long-term analysis in depth on Bitcoin. Currently, we are sitting in the middle, probably more than 50% of the way, within this ending diagonal, rising wedge, whatever the heck you want to call it. And I'm going to just shorten these up because I don't want to give an illusion that the market's going to go up this high. But we can definitely see how these trend lines form a rising wedge. So look up a rising wedge on Google after this video and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. So it wouldn't be a surprise to me, folks, to see Bitcoin potentially rise up to $59,000, $60,000 before this thing really kind of retraces. Right now, Bitcoin has a glorious bull flagpole, possibly seen a symmetrical triangle pennant formation off the end of this, and this might be enough to drive it kind of up to this $60,000 level, possibly. But we have to take other things into consideration as well. So that's why I want to pull up the RSI. And man, I'm going to go ahead and just switch over to a daily chart. Maybe a 4-hour chart so I can better illustrate this. So on the 4-hour chart, so this is a very, 2 weeks, data within the last 2 weeks. We can see the RSI is forming a rising wedge as well. This is no surprise to see RSI backpedal a little bit. Once we get, in the 80s, that's no surprise to anyone at all. So it'll be interesting to see if Bitcoin, I have two theories on Bitcoin right now. On the 4-hour chart, we are either going to see a little head and shoulders action, something like this maybe, but we might also see Bitcoin come down, test this 50 moving average, and then just go straight up. Those are some bullish scenarios. If this thing decides to take off to the downside, we may be looking at prices somewhere down in this $43,000 to $48,000 level, and that would make sense to see prices down there. right around those levels because of these Fibonacci retracement levels. Currently, the price action's way far out from the cloud. I was saying this in the live stream I did last night and other previous videos that price action just needs to come back down to test the cloud, and it's either going to trade through the cloud or bounce up. So logically, if we are looking at some Elliott wave theory, it might go like that. If we are looking for some sort of head and shoulders pattern, we might see something like this occur. So keep that in mind, folks, as we progress forward with the market. There's, when I do these videos, I'm just illustrating what I'm seeing on the charts, and there's no funny business. I'm not able to manipulate these candles whatsoever to try to cause a bear market. I'm not, trying to do any of that. So let's look at Voyager Token. Voyager Token, the last few weeks, I was kind of saying how we had come down to this $2.09 level. We came down to the $2.11 level. And I was getting called crazy the whole way down for saying that stuff. But with that said, Voyager Token, folks, could be on the up and up. We are seeing some great, bear with me 1 second here, some great movement here. We might see a little bit, another move to the downside possibly, but we are ending or getting to the end of this falling wedge. So this is a great bullish pattern to see price action rip to the upside here soon. And I'm hoping that it does, because these poor holders of Voyager Token have been getting a bloodbath when it comes to their portfolios if they are not buying the dip. So I will say that it's a blessing for those that are buying, but for those that are holding, it's not good. So, Voyager Token, they got a lot going for them. And let's look at this. So really nothing coming through on the daily chart. It looks like the 4-hour chart. And this is what I'm talking about, this falling wedge. We are seeing this 50 and 200 moving average getting really close to each other. And this is going to be important, because if we see, so this Ichimoku cloud trading, bear with me, if we see this conversion line cross over this baseline, we will likely see this 50 moving average follow and move upwards. And when we see this 50 moving average start arcing to the 200 when they're this close, you better believe that we're going to see some bullish price momentum up and out of this falling wedge. So, ideally, we might be seeing some sort of drawn out, I was going to try to argue the fact that we might be seeing some sort of drawn out ascending triangle or something like that, but it doesn't look like that could be the case. But Voyager Token is getting close. Whether or not we test this lower trend line again, it wouldn't surprise me if Bitcoin has a really bad day. The $2 price point is on the table. $1.96, I've mentioned that price point before. If we see this thing start ripping to the upside, from $2, we're looking at the potential of a $3.81 Voyager Token. So might get a little hung up at that $2.88 level, but if we can break through that, everything is gravy. So, really, Voyager Token is holding the floor quite well right around this $2 10 to 30 cent level, even $2.40 level. So I think the bleeding is going to come to a stop here very soon. So with that said, folks, I think I'm going to end today's video because it's running a little bit long, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Thank you all to the Patreons for supporting the channel. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon, $3 a month, you can get your name, YouTube channel name, or business name up on this banner. Peace.